Let's make it back-to-back days. AK47 over at Deckmar Trades via Tradecaster.com. Josh Smith official. Prime Trading here on Instagram and YouTube. It's Thursday, June the 10th, and woohoo! We are seeing the penny stocks come back to life. $5 up to $77.77. Are you kidding me right now? Loving the sevens a day. You know, the open at $4.97 up to $77.77. We're talking at one point in time, team, right now, you can see this was up 900%. Almost 1,000 right now. And look at this dumped off. This was up like 13, 12, 13. When this hit 77.77, it was up well over 1,000% on the day. Crazy mover. Finally, and I've been begging for this, right? You know, last couple of days, we've had AEMD, right? That was a crazy mover. Really didn't do too much during the market yesterday, really, right? You know, we ranged from $8.90 up to $12, $5-ish, $4-ish range, right? $4-ish range, close to that area. But look what we did in pre-market. And then now in today, we get another play, like meds, go 100%. Go from around the $4 area-ish, almost up to 11. So we're seeing some crazy, awesome moves the last couple of days. Then all of a sudden, ORPH decides to just come out of nowhere and form this beautiful bull flag earlier. So it was popped up probably on someone's radar. And then from there, being a little bit lower float, look at the madness take off. And now this is when it starts kind of reaching our radar in here. And I'm not even, playing. I'm like, I'm going to let it do its thing. Pops up, goes a little over 100%, goes up to 13. We're like, yeah. Now here's one of the first things I learned. I said at 11:02, as you can see right here, when it's when it actually comes live, I said if it holds the VWAP, I said see if it holds the VWAP right here, and if so, come down, make sure everyone can see that. Anyway, make it massive. Well, now it just covers up everything. Anyway, but let's see if it holds the VWAP right here at 11:02, and if it does, it's gonna stay up. Like if it can hold this area right here where this little lower shadow is, the VWAP, it's gonna stay up. It's gonna stay up. And so we'll get into this badass, amazing GME play I've had today, 2 days in a row. Just shorting it finally, getting in small shares because I can't get too many. But also, regardless, just finally, I'm tired of it. I'm shorting it back down to the dirt that it is. But look at it hold the VWAP. Now, I thought right here it was done. I had this collapse off, and I didn't have an alert after that. But I did see this going, okay, it's probably about to be done. But then it popped back up. And I'm like, oh, geez, look at this thing. And it's holding the VWAP. I know it's a little test. And I'm sure a lot of people right here, going, oh, crack of the VWAP. I'm going to go short even more so now. After this big red candle, it's down below the VWAP. I'm going to go short here. But it held that 875 roll. We love that 875 area. And then we boom, right? And it's kind of weird, randomly boom, right into resistance, but halted up right here. And that's what got any trader that was still paying attention to, and I'm sure more attention, because now you see the volume candles really start to get bigger right here as we start to move up and get into another halt. And now this is where I wish I would have pulled the trigger initially. Wish I would have pulled the trigger right here as we moved over high of day. We moved into this halt, and I said, watch for this to push into 1350. If we push into 1350 right here, it's going to have some trouble. We open right at 1350. It comes down, and as soon as I saw green and this flying up, and I'm still banging my head because I could have got in bigger. Wish I would have pulled the trigger right here around not even 1365. I would have got filled around 1380 or so, because I would have seen that flying up all green, flying through 1365. Now I'm pulling the trigger. It's probably around 1385-ish, I'm sure, till I get filled. But whammy, we go into one halt. Over 15, gap up. Now we're really starting to do some nasty gap ups, like crazy gaps. Let's say nasty, but just big gap ups, right? So we go from 1530 up to 1695, dollar plus gap up. Then we fly up to 1875 here. I'm like, okay, if we get a game, you read the level 2, and I'm reading the level 2, and I'm already telling people in chat, and I wish I would have taken screenshots of this because I read the level 2 honestly really well. You're just going over to your level 2. Thinkorswim, or I shouldn't say does not have a good one, but E-Trade Pro. E-Trade Pro has a beautiful level 2 during the halts, and I think Trade Zero is pretty decent too. But E-Trade Pro is great. And then what you're doing is you're reading where the gap ups were. So you're at least going to see, if you've seen one here and you kind of see where the level 2 is, and it's looking like it's going to be a big gap up. And I was telling everyone in chat, I'm like, hey, if this gap's up over 20, watch out. And, it could easily gap up even more than that. This thing opened all the way up to $23. Now, I'm bringing this up now because we of course get overextended. We do finally have a halt down, which was important. We held it and then we flew up more. But the fact that this gap up went from $18.50 all the way up to $23, so $4+ gap up. $4+ whipping at 23. 23. That's literally almost $450 gap up. Are you kidding me? That's huge. Now, of course, we can't hold all this. People are going to take their gains. We're going to sell this huge hold. That's all it is. 100,000 shares, almost probably was all selling, right? Whammy, right down into a halt down. So we're going, okay, is it going to hold? And I hate to really show you what happened, but we're thinking this is, I'm telling everyone in chat, even people are asking me where's to be safe. I'm like, hey, be safe. Come down here to the 15, where it halted up, kind of really to start get the fire going, because then it's a, good $5 pullback from that area. Be even safer, trader. Go down into 13.15. If this starts collapsing on back, by that time, I'm sure the VWAP is going to roll up to it. Maybe at that point in time, we'll roll up to it to the 13, I should say 1350 to 1330 mark. Anywhere in this area, I could see a lower shadow. And I'm like, in risky biscuits, trader, maybe if you want to do, and I was like, take that last, green candle that we had. So maybe the 1875 roll, essentially, so the close of where that, that halt up was, or it may try to hold the 16, and that's what I was saying. It's a big guessing game. Where's it going to hold up at? It comes right out. Where it holds up at, it gaps up. It doesn't have to hold anywhere. Where it holds up on the pullback is the old halt down area, which I always love. Halt areas are always good support areas. So if we did move down, this would have been some kind of, it most likely would not have just shot right through it, right? It would have tried to hold it for a second. Same here, same there. Anyway, look at this monster continue to gap up from $25. Opened up at around 28, literally, I think right at 28, almost on the dot, 28.10. $3 gap up, right into another halt. Look at this gap up. And I think the halt time was a long one. This one was, 27 minutes. We're halted up right here. You can see 12:20 my time. We don't open up till 37 after. And I was telling a lot of people, take your profit. This is, we're on the third halt up. This is halted up for a very long time here. This one right here, I should say. I should say on the second halt up, on however many halts up overall. Be very careful right here. We may move up to one more third halt up, but be very careful because we started moving to 20 plus minutes. You're going, oh, geez, when's this going to open up? Opens up at a random time, as you can see right here, 27 minutes later, 17 minutes later, 17 minutes later, 17 minutes later. My bad if I can do math right, but 17 minutes later. So and then again, so that's why you're getting iffy, but it opens up into a halt. I'm not getting it anywhere. I mean, you could, and that's where you trade this team. And I know I'm just kind of going over this, and I'm not really alerting much right now because there's really not much to alert. But if you're going to trade this, anywhere you're wanting to trade this, you're reading the gap ups, right? You're seeing on this initial one right here when you finally have a massive $4 or $5 gap up, right? You're going, whoa. This has got potential. Obviously, it's got potential because at that point in time, it was up from $5 to 20. It's up well over 100%, probably push, probably 200, obviously 200+% at that time, right? So regardless, it's got firepower, but now these gap ups start happening. So anywhere in here, when you see these, you just have to see the green. You don't. In my halt strategy is I love these, when you have a gap up this big, it's hard to have that big a lower shadow. But I love when you have a gap up, say to like right here, and you get a lower shadow around this length, but back to the old halt up area, holds a support. Then it does the big green candle, flushes up into a halt. It wasn't doing that at all. You had no chance to do that. So the only way to really read that, and it's getting super risky biscuits as this moves even above 30 now, is just to buy in. I mean, I made text some of my friends and that's what I said. So should I just put a market order in now, like just to get filled for that next push up? And I was like, there could be a little bit of a dip there. And he's like, that's fine. I just want to make sure I get filled. And I was like, sure, do it. You're going to have that lower shadow effect like you kept having. I think I forgot which one of these it was that he finally got in. And that's what he did. He just had the limit order ready. Bam, he was filled, shot straight up into halt up, and boom, he was like, oh my gosh. I go, boom, rocking and rolling. I forgot how much up, $700. That's what you're doing here. Or you're just waiting for that quick little lower shadow tail, and as soon as you see red, or should say green, and it's flush, boom, rocking and rolling, right? Well, that's when you're in. It's hard to trade these as far as trying to find where areas, because you go to past trade history. This is how it's ever been. This is you go. There's no point to show you. This has never been this high. So you're essentially just reading and feeling that momentum, that Momo, and having to get in the scene these massive gap ups. Like right here, you gap up from $30 all the way up to $37, $6+ gap up, almost $7. You see a $7 gap up. Yeah, if this has a quick tail and then starts pushing up and goes above said area where it opened up at. So even if you get filled at say 37.40, 37.70, bad, it's not whatever. Look where it halts up at. You're halted up at 40.80, and that's when I'll show you when I eventually get in. When you're flying up now, you're going to gap up. Now, even if you see a red candle, it finally comes back, it's going to cap up $4, $5, $6, but well above your entry, especially if you got in where I told you to, which is above the open. So again, go back to this. It opens up here, flushes down. As soon as you see green, it flies right up above 23.40, 23.50, whatever it opened up at, especially this red candle, you're in. Because then you're in, boom, you're up $1.50 when it halts up. Then you're up $4 or $5, however many dollars, because it gaps up. Then same here, kind of pulls back. As soon as this starts pushing above 28.10, whatever that open was, and say even if you're filled at 28.64, it's a bad because of the spread. Even 28.78, it freaking halts up at what, 30, $30.91 is where it halts up at. So even $3 or $2 plus, $3 plus, then it gaps up $7 or $6. So that's where you're getting in here. And I'll show you where I finally got in. Was this candle right here? I'm like, if this pushes above 50, it's done. So I'm going to see if it pushes above the open, and I'm going to try to pull the trigger there. And if I don't, I know if this pushes up 50 AK, Josh, it's gonna gap up big time again. So I pulled the trigger late. I pulled it finally as this pushed above open. I hesitated, bam it. I'm like, it's gonna push 50. And as soon as because it flew right through 50 like butter, I pressed the button. So as soon as it flew through 50 like butter, I thought I was gonna get around 50. I was filled at 50.75 because of the spread. I didn't care. I didn't get that good of an entry because I could have got an entry like you guys, like I'm trying to preach, and it's usually the best entry. Quick pullback, wait for this to push above whatever that open candle was. So the open here, or the open of this was 40.75. So as soon as you see 47.5, 48.5, 47, it's 47, or yeah, if it's 40.65 and you start seeing 40.65, 46.85, 46.95, it's $47. You need to pull the trigger right then and there because it is green and it is flying up. I mean, it happened so fast, you have to get used to them. But that was my train of thought here, and I hesitated. I should have pulled the trigger, and I would have been in here probably around $47.50, $48 even, right? With it halted up at 51 essentially, and I'm in at a great price. Well, I pulled the trigger a little late, and it wasn't until 50.75, but it was halted up at 51.43, where this halts up at here essentially. So 75 cents kind of above. But I know, and that's what I was telling everyone in chat, like getting a little risky, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, like a lot of people were, like a Taylor trader was saying in chat, if this breaks above 50, it's going for that next leg up. And the next leg up usually is $75. And the main thing I even was shooting for, and was just going to take half off the plate, when I only went in 100 shares, by the way, because at $50, 100 shares, it's about a $5,000 cost basis. I knew I could have went in 200, 500 shares, bigger, but I didn't want to go risky biscuits. But I knew I was going to get this. Even from 100 shares, I knew I was going to an instant gap up. Look where this closed at again. It closed at 51. Here's the high, and of course the close is right here. It's the same thing. High and close on a gap up, or the halt up's the same. The high, the close, 51.43. This opens up at 59 on the dot. We are talking about a $7+, almost $8 gap up. Are you $7.50 gap up? Are you okay with that? Even if you got in, like some of those people that pulled the trigger at the last second got in at 51.43. You got a massive gap up, then it shot into another halt up. Then look where this gapped up from. This closed at 64.90. This opened at 77.77. That's the high. And that's, of course, that's the high. That's where it opened. That's where it opened. Because, of course, red candles, when you see the flush down, that means that's the open. This is the close. This was a $13, $12 gap up. $12, almost 13. Almost 13 on the dot. 100 shares, that's $1,300. Are you kidding me? So now, of course, I got into the 50.75 mark. I took immediately right off the bat where it opened up, and of course, that spread's kind of huge. It opened at $59, and it did this and this so fast. By the time I pulled the trigger, I got filled at like 60. I think it was 60.35. It was at 60 something. So almost $10, 100 shares. I should say 50 shares, right? That was $500 right then and there. $500. And then I sold 50 more shares as this shot up and went up to 77.77. And I sold that 50 shares at around the 72.50 or 40 mark. As it came flying back down, I pulled the trigger as soon as this opened, right as it got, because I knew it was going to most likely finally, when I saw when I saw 77.77, my mouth dropped and I said, what? And immediately went, sell. Knowing like, hey, that's good. That's good enough for me. I wanted my $75 target. I was kind of alerting in chat like, hey, that's kind of your end-all be-all if you got in with us with that $50 break, right? Anyway, regardless, as soon as I pulled the trigger twice, my fills were like literally down in the 72s. That's how fast this collapsed. So I'm glad I got out. Still would be fine because I could have got out in the next halt down most likely still, and I still would have been fine for my entry. But why is was scaling out? Why I went in small? But again, you're getting in, even here, you could have been in right here waiting. Okay, this opened up at $59. I think it was on the dot. Flies down to whatever this is, say 55.50. As soon as it starts flying back up and you see, like I said, 59.20, 59.50, $60. You have to pull the trigger. Do it. I'm telling you, because look what's going to happen. Whamitos, you're up $4 or $5 from your entry. Above said entry, open price. Again, the open price. Take the open. You're just waiting for it. I'm not in yet. Wait for it to open. Okay, the open's 59. Wait for it to pull back. This is a great pullback entry if you ever get the halt, but if you don't get it and it starts flying up without this entry being had, and it starts breaking above the open of the candle, which was $40 or $59, boom, pull the trigger. You're going to even at $60 on the dot, say, even if it's $1, you get that crazy spread and you get it at 60, not 59. This closes at $64.90, then opens up at, you're up $17. $17. Well, you get my point. I know this comes down hard, but still, you get my point. So that's how you trade these crazy halt plays. It's just awesome to finally see some crazy stock market fire back, and I had to do a recap. Hopefully this continues tomorrow, and bet right now. I'm going to tell you tomorrow morning, Friday morning, which, by the way, I go live for the man Sean Deckmar every Friday. You can bet within the first, if not at the bell, this is going to be nuts. Within the first 30 minutes, if it doesn't spike right away, like say it does what it was doing earlier, and it's kind of doing this number at the opening bell, and it's kind of just sitting there, there'll be more volume than this. It'll probably be like this at the bell. Then you just wait, and then all of a sudden, you're going to see some bananas halting up for sure at tomorrow. So expect this to go crazy and spike up at least $15, $20, $30 tomorrow. Easy. If this went, $70-ish a day, $70, $75 a day, it'll go $30, $35 tomorrow. AK47, join me live tomorrow, tradecaster.com. Come join the madness.